The process is still being implemented, still taking place for LSU. Lost yesterday in the SEC title game against the best team in the country. The Georgia Bulldogs' final score was 30-50 in Atlanta. And I want to be a little bit careful about how we go about talking about this, because the risk that we run is, oh, you're just giving moral victories to LSU. Oh, you're just patting LSU on the back. I want to be very clear. Nobody in Baton Rouge is waking up today saying, wow, at least we gave Georgia a good fight. Hey, at least we pushed Georgia a little bit in the end there. At least Garrett Nussmeier looks good. Like, nobody is saying that. So I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying LSU should be happy about what happened yesterday. Bottom line, lost the football game in the SEC title. Had a golden opportunity in year one under Brian Kelly to come home with some hardware. Had your shot at the big dog. Did not get it done. So that is the fact of the matter. Like, that is it, okay? I don't want to sugarcoat anything else. I do think, with that being said, it would be irresponsible to not take a look at the entirety of this game and the entirety of what's going on at LSU. Because just like I said to open it, the process is still something that's being implemented in Baton Rouge. It's year one. I know the portal's a thing. I know they did well in the portal. Got a good quarterback in Jayden Daniels. Didn't get to finish the game yesterday. There's still some things that are churning in Baton Rouge. Yesterday, let's be honest. To beat Georgia, LSU would have needed, one, a lot of chaos, like to have wreaked a lot of havoc, had a 3-4 turnover effort from that defense, or you would have needed a perfect game. And the reality is that wasn't what you got, starting with the field goal return. And that's a team that's inexperienced, that's going to be better for that. I promise you that will never happen to this Brian Kelly coach LSU team ever again. They will be very much on their P's and Q's when it comes to covering field goals. But that was a dagger early on. Didn't end the game by any stretch of the imagination, but that was 7 points that you can't just spot to the best team in the country. With all the talent they have, you can't just trade them a touchdown when you miss a field goal. So that was unfortunate. That was bad. Obviously, a glaring imperfection. The tip pass off of the helmet to then end up being a Georgia interception. There's a lot we could talk about with this. Ball was in a spot to where it ultimately got tipped, so that's the first part. If the ball was perfect, or if there was another way you went with that football, maybe we're not having the same conversation, but there is a little bit of unfortunate nature baked into that play where the ball bounces off a player's helmet, very uncharacteristically up in the air, but tips are picks, and that's kind of the way that goes. You also had your starting quarterback, who the strength of his game is his dual threat ability. What he can do on the ground. I mean, think of the big games that LSU's won this year. Ole Miss and Alabama. Jayden Daniels' legs is a huge part of moving that operation forward. That wasn't really available yesterday. Even when Jayden Daniels was playing, you could tell he wasn't full health. He wasn't full strength, able to make the kind of plants in the ground that he usually would make if you're Jayden Daniels in that offense. And that was a huge element that they didn't have available to them. So 3 off the bat, huge pieces that just, quite frankly, didn't go your way if you're LSU. Some of that's in your control. Some of that's unfortunate and part of the game of football. So you needed a perfect game, didn't get it, and we need to talk about that as we move forward in regards to LSU. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, would love to have you at the party. A ton of the LSU faithful come over and hang out with us, and we love having y'all here. If you have not yet joined the party, jump on in. The water's fine. Follow me on the social channels, at Judy Piquel, on Twitter and Instagram. I say we in terms of all of us, both you and me, the Hard Count community, we got featured in the LSU hype video. It's because of y'all. So we appreciate you in advance for that. And if you follow me on the socials, you were able to see that interact, and it was a whole lot of fun. So we appreciate y'all making that possible for the party. Here's something that I think we need to really address if we're being honest in how we look at LSU going forward. Yesterday, imagine what would have happened if you had the old LSU culture in that game yesterday. Forget the personnel, forget who was on the field, just plug in that culture from last year into yesterday's team. They would have rolled over. Old LSU would have waved the white flag and said, you know what, it wasn't our day, our quarterback's not healthy, we had some freak things happen, forget this, roll over, play dead, ball game. I didn't see any of that from this team yesterday. And we're not excusing losing. We're not excusing losing by 20 points to the best team in the country. Doesn't matter. That's not what they expect to LSU. But the fact that they kept on swinging, There was absolutely zero quit. And I believe the future's pretty bright. I mean, Garrett Nussmeier, for all of the conversation around his gunslinger ability and his tendencies, and he's cavalier with the football, he gave guys a chance to make plays, and they talked about that a lot post-game. Hey, at the very least, Garrett Nussmeier is putting it out there. They're 50-50 footballs, trusting his guys, and you got some guys in that wide receiver room at LSU. He allowed them to impact the game. And I don't care about the timing of the game. I don't care about how inflated that stat is or isn't, or if it was against Georgia starters, against their third stringers. I don't care. They kept swinging. They kept pushing Georgia. There was absolutely zero rollover in that program. So much so that Kirby Smart and company felt the need to go for 2. And that's fine. And Brian Kelly, I loved his response to it when he got asked about it. He said, do you feel any, I think that the question was essentially, do you have any issue with Kirby Smart going for 2? He said, it's my job to stop him. It's my job to worry about us and stop them in that kind of situation, so I don't worry about what they're doing. And I think that as a whole just continues to talk about the process and the internal approach that they're taking at LSU. Even some of the guys that took the podium post-game, they said we had to fall back on our traits, and we kept fighting. And yes, we're proud of that. Not happy with the loss, not happy with the result, but we're proud of how we continued to fight. So the reality for LSU, they're not backing down from the standard. Brian Kelly said as much. We're not backing down from the standard. We expect to be back in this game. We expect to win this game in the future. That's the kind of guy I want leading my football team. No pat on the back. No, hey, good job, good try this year. The standard has been set at LSU for some time before Brian Kelly got there. He's there to return them to that standard. We said it multiple times. Whether he's a fit or not, I think that's pretty much a garbage talking point now. He is your leader going forward. There is buy-in there. And I will just say this. In the day and age of the transfer portal, you look back at some of the guys they got, they won the transfer portal a season ago. I have a very difficult time believing that when we have the dust settle on, this time next year, I think we'll talk again about LSU being one of the winners of the transfer portal. It's somewhere that people want to play. I promise they'll want to buy into what they saw this year and what Brian Kelly allowed them to do this year. I think they're just going to continue to trend upward. Now, will it be a straight path? Will it just be a continual trend the entire way? No, you're going to take your bumps and bruises. It's going to be year 2. They still got a bowl game left for year 1. Like, there's a lot still that's cooking at LSU. But I think we'd be remiss if we didn't focus on the internal, much like LSU is focusing on the internal and all the positive steps they've taken forward in that regard. They kept swinging, kept throwing haymaker after haymaker till it was triple zeros. And you drew the best team in the country for the SEC title game. They know that. Georgia knows that. But they gave them all they can handle and then some. So for LSU, nothing to hang your head about. Never satisfied with losing. Never okay with losing. But there's a lot still to be done in Baton Rouge. And I think there's still a lot of exciting things on the horizon for Brian Kelly, for this program, and for what LSU is going to be in the future as he continues to install and implement the process. This has been The Hard Count. I'm J.D. Piquel, Jack Terry, lifting heavy. This is your show. Like I already said, us getting a hype video, that's great. Like, that's cool. We're going to post about it on social media and, take all that comes with that. But that is a win for us. Not here on this side of the mic. That is a win for us, for this community, for this team. So we appreciate you. And a lot of football left. A lot of football left. The transfer portal kicking up, recruiting kicking up, college football playoff kicking up. Like, you're going to want to make sure that you're locked in here. It's going to be a good time. We're going to keep the party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.